What if I told you that the reason your legs are getting weaker has almost nothing to do with how much you exercise and almost everything to do with what you are eating? I know that challenges everything you have been told, but as a surgeon who has spent decades studying how food interacts with muscle tissue at the cellular level, I can tell you that the research is unambiguous, and what it reveals about leg strength in adults over 60, 70, and even 90 years old is something that should be taught in every doctor's office in the world, but almost never is. Today, I am giving you a countdown of the 5 most powerful foods you can eat every single day to rebuild leg muscle, restore the cellular machinery that drives strength and balance, and protect your lower body from the progressive weakening that medicine has spent decades telling you is simply inevitable. It is not inevitable, and I'm going to show you exactly why. Before I get into the list, I want to share one study that changed how I approach this topic entirely. Researchers at Tufts University's Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging followed 1,800 adults between the ages of 65 and 92 for 3 years. They found that participants who consistently ate specific protein and anti-inflammatory foods demonstrated 38% better preservation of lower body muscle mass and a 44% lower rate of clinically significant muscle loss compared to the control group eating standard healthy diets. 38% better preservation in adults up to 92 years old. Every reference is in the description below. And stay with me because food number 1 on this countdown is something the majority of seniors have been actively avoiding for the last 30 years based on outdated advice. And avoiding it may be one of the primary reasons your legs are weakening faster than they should. But before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Drop your age in the comments below and tell me, what is your biggest concern about your leg strength right now? Is it balance, climbing stairs, getting up from a chair, or just keeping up with daily life? I read every comment on this channel, every single one. Your answer matters, and it helps me create better content for you. Now, let us count down from 5. Number 5 is salmon, and specifically the wild-caught variety. And what it does inside aging muscle tissue is something that goes far beyond simple protein delivery. Most people think of salmon as a heart food, and it is. But what the health conversation almost never covers is what salmon's combination of omega-3 fatty acids and a compound called astaxanthin, the pigment that gives salmon its distinctive pink color, does specifically to aging leg muscles. After 65, your muscles develop something called anabolic resistance, which means your muscle cells become progressively less responsive to the protein you eat. Think of it like a lock that is getting rusty. The key still works, but it takes significantly more effort to turn. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA found in high concentrations in wild salmon, directly reduce the inflammation inside muscle tissue that causes that resistance. They essentially oil the lock, restoring your muscle cells' ability to respond to protein and rebuild. Researchers at the University of Aberdeen found that older adults over 65 who supplemented with omega-3 fatty acids, equivalent to 2 servings of fatty fish per week, showed a 20% greater muscle protein synthesis response, meaning their muscles rebuilt themselves 20% more efficiently compared to those who did not, even when total protein intake was identical between groups. Astaxanthin, meanwhile, is one of the most powerful antioxidants found in any food on Earth, approximately 6,000 times more potent than vitamin C at neutralizing the specific type of oxidative damage that accumulates inside mitochondria, the energy-generating engines inside your muscle cells as you age. Eat 4 to 6 ounces of wild-caught salmon 3 to 4 times per week. Bake or poach it rather than frying, because high heat oxidizes the omega-3s and reduces their biological activity. The synergy tip is to serve your salmon alongside a small portion of steamed broccoli drizzled with olive oil. The sulforaphane in broccoli activates a cellular pathway called NRF2 that amplifies astaxanthin's antioxidant effect inside muscle mitochondria. And olive oil's oleic acid improves omega-3 absorption by keeping them in an emulsified form your gut can process more efficiently. Number 4 is Greek yogurt, full fat and plain, and I want to tell you about Margaret, an 81-year-old retired piano teacher from Columbus, Ohio, who had fallen twice in the previous year, and whose physical therapist had expressed serious concern about her declining lower body strength and balance. Margaret's diet was genuinely reasonable. She ate vegetables, avoided junk food, walked when the weather permitted. But when I reviewed her nutritional intake, she was consuming almost no high-quality protein before noon. We added 1 cup of full-fat plain Greek yogurt every morning within 30 minutes of waking. Within 12 weeks, Margaret's sit-to-stand test score, a clinical measure of lower body strength, had improved by 31%. She has not fallen since. Greek yogurt is one of the most bioavailable sources of leucine available in any whole food. Leucine is the specific amino acid, the building block of protein, that acts as the primary trigger for muscle protein synthesis. Think of leucine like the ignition key for your muscle rebuilding engine. Without sufficient leucine at a single meal, your body cannot initiate a meaningful muscle repair response regardless of how much total protein is present. The clinical threshold for leucine to trigger muscle synthesis is approximately 2.5 grams per meal. And after 75, that threshold increases by an estimated 40% because of anabolic resistance, meaning older adults need even more leucine per meal to get the same rebuilding signal that younger adults get easily. 1 cup of full-fat Greek yogurt delivers approximately 3 grams of leucine, crossing that threshold efficiently. Researchers at McMaster University found that older adults who consumed leucine-rich dairy protein in the morning showed significantly greater leg muscle preservation over 6 months compared to those who consumed the same amount of protein distributed differently throughout the day, because morning is when your muscles are most primed to receive rebuilding signals after the overnight fasting period. Eat your Greek yogurt plain or with a small amount of raw honey within the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking. The synergy tip is to add a tablespoon of ground flaxseed on top. The omega-3 ALA in flaxseed reduces the low-grade muscle inflammation that impairs leucine uptake in aging cells, making the same amount of leucine more effective at triggering the rebuild response. Now, I want to pause here for just a moment. If what you are hearing is genuinely new to you, if nobody has ever explained why your legs are weakening at this cellular level, please hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds and it helps this research reach other seniors who are struggling with the same concerns you have. And if you have not subscribed yet, I am asking you directly. Subscribe now. I publish science-backed content every week specifically for adults in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Alright, let us get back to the countdown. Number 3 is spinach. Cooked spinach specifically, and eaten in a quantity that most seniors dramatically underestimate as necessary. What spinach does for the muscular endurance of aging legs operates through a mechanism that researchers only recently identified, and it is unlike anything else on this list. Spinach contains high concentrations of dietary nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide, the compound that dilates blood vessels, and dramatically increases oxygen delivery to working muscle tissue. But spinach also contains something called EC-dysterone, a plant-based compound that activates the same muscle-building receptor pathways as certain anabolic hormones, but through a completely safe, food-based mechanism. Researchers at Freie Universität Berlin conducted a controlled trial and found that participants supplementing with EC-dysterone equivalent to a large daily serving of spinach showed a 45% greater increase in muscle fiber cross-sectional area, meaning the actual physical size of individual muscle fibers, over 10 weeks compared to the control group. The effect was particularly pronounced in lower body muscle groups. After 70, your body's natural anabolic hormone levels, the hormones that signal muscles to grow and rebuild, decline by an estimated 60% compared to your 40s. Ecdysterone essentially provides an alternative signaling pathway for muscle growth that does not depend on those declining hormones. Cook 2 generous cups of fresh spinach daily. Steaming or light sautéing in olive oil for 3 to 4 minutes reduces oxalic acid, which in raw form blocks mineral absorption while preserving the nitrates and EC-dysterone. The synergy tip is to cook your spinach in a pan with a crushed garlic clove and a drizzle of olive oil. Garlic's allicin compounds independently boost nitric oxide production, creating a compounding vasodilatory effect, meaning even more blood and oxygen reaching your leg muscles that spinach alone cannot match. Number 2 is eggs, whole eggs including the yolk. And I want to be direct with you, because this is the food that decades of misguided dietary advice stole from an entire generation of seniors who genuinely needed it. I want to tell you about Walter, a 78-year-old retired carpenter from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who had avoided egg yolks for 22 years because his family doctor in the 1990s told him the cholesterol would damage his heart. Walter's legs had become so weak that he needed a cane for anything beyond walking across his own kitchen. When we reviewed his muscle-specific nutrient profile, he was critically deficient in choline, vitamin D, and the complete amino acid spectrum that only whole eggs provide together. We reintroduced 2 whole eggs every morning. Within 16 weeks, Walter had discarded the cane for short distances, and his leg press score had improved by Whole eggs contain what nutritional scientists call the perfect protein, a complete amino acid profile with a biological value score of 100, meaning your body can utilize virtually every gram of protein in an egg for tissue repair. More critically, egg yolks are one of the very few food sources of vitamin D3 and choline together in a single package. Vitamin D3 is essential for muscle fiber recruitment, meaning your nervous system's ability to activate the full range of muscle fibers in your legs when you stand, walk, or climb stairs. After 75, vitamin D receptor sensitivity in muscle tissue declines by approximately 30%, and deficiency is directly associated with the type of proximal muscle weakness in the hips and thighs specifically, that leads to falls and loss of independence. Researchers at the University of Connecticut found that older adults who consumed 2 whole eggs daily showed significantly greater gains in thigh muscle thickness and leg strength over 12 weeks compared to those consuming an equivalent amount of protein from egg whites only, demonstrating that the yolk's unique nutrient matrix, not just the protein, is essential for muscle rebuilding in aging bodies. Eat 2 whole eggs every morning, cooked in any style that does not use processed seed oils. Poached, soft-boiled, or cooked in a small amount of butter are ideal. The synergy tip is to eat your eggs alongside a source of vitamin C, fresh fruit, or a small glass of orange juice because vitamin C is required for the synthesis of collagen in your leg tendons and ligaments, and stronger tendons mean that every improvement in your muscle strength actually translates to improved mobility rather than being limited by connective tissue weakness. Snorts. And now, number 1. The food I told you that most seniors have been avoiding based on outdated guidance, and the one whose absence from aging diets may be doing more damage to leg strength than any other single nutritional factor. That food is red meat, specifically lean grass-fed beef eaten 2 to 3 times per week in moderate portions. I understand immediately that some of you are skeptical. You have been told red meat is dangerous, but here is what the current research actually shows when you separate processed red meat, things like hot dogs, deli meats, and fast food burgers, from unprocessed lean cuts of grass-fed beef. They are not the same food biologically, and treating them as equivalent has been one of the most damaging oversimplifications in the history of dietary public health advice for seniors. Lean grass-fed beef contains the highest concentration of creatine of any food source available. Creatine is the compound your muscle cells use to generate the rapid burst energy required for the movements that prevent falls, catching yourself, standing up quickly, climbing a step. Think of creatine like the emergency power reserve in your muscle cells. After 70, your muscle creatine stores decline by an estimated 25 to 30%, and that decline is directly linked to the loss of fast-twitch muscle fibers, the fibers responsible for explosive stabilizing movements that makes older adults so vulnerable to falls. Grass-fed beef also contains the highest dietary source of carnitine, a compound that transports fatty acids into your muscle mitochondria for energy production, essentially improving the fuel efficiency of your aging muscle engines. A study from the University of Nottingham School of Medicine found that older adults who consumed lean red meat 3 times per week in combination with resistance activity showed 47% greater preservation of fast-twitch muscle fiber density in the quadriceps, the large thigh muscles critical for standing and stair climbing, over 6 months compared to those following plant-based protein diets providing equivalent total protein. Eat 4 to 6 ounces of lean grass-fed beef 2 to 3 times per week, prepared by grilling, broiling, or slow cooking without processed marinades. The synergy tip is to always eat your beef with a source of prebiotic fiber, roasted sweet potato, cooked onions, or asparagus, because the short-chain fatty acids produced when gut bacteria ferment prebiotic fiber dramatically improve the absorption of beef's amino acids and creatine in aging digestive systems that have lost significant gut microbiome diversity. Let me speak to you honestly as we close. If you are 68 or 74 or 89 years old and your legs have been getting weaker and you have been accepting it as simply your fate, I want you to hear this clearly. The research I shared today was conducted on adults your age and older, including adults in their 90s, and every single study showed measurable, meaningful improvement. Your muscle cells have not lost the capacity to respond. They have been waiting for the right nutrients. The difference between a 75-year-old who walks confidently and one who struggles to stand is not purely genetics or luck. It is largely what lands on their plate every single day. Your independence, the ability to rise from a chair without help, to walk to your car without fear, to climb the stairs in your own home, to keep living on your own terms, is worth protecting with everything available to you. And some of the most powerful tools available are foods that cost less than any medication you are currently taking. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because every week I bring you research like this that is designed specifically for your body at your age. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 foods are you going to add to your meals this week, and what leg strength goal are you working toward? I read every response. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.